So most of you guys already know that on my channel I've covered both the Toefl and the IELTS tests. I've given you guidance on how you can go ahead and get exceptionally good scores on both of these tests. But today I'm going to tell you why I do not prefer one of these tests, and that is the test of IELTS. Why I do not prefer the IELTS, English language testing test. When it comes to these, you have to take one of these when you're going overseas. And the TOEFL and the IELTS are the most common ones. Of course, there are new tests coming in. There's PTE, there's Duolingo, but at the same time, IELTS and TOEFL are the most important ones. That's probably what comes to your mind as well when you think about going overseas, that yes, I'm gonna have to take either one of these. Now, why do I not prefer the IELTS? Why do I think the TOEFL is better? Is it easier? Is it because the TOEFL has a much more streamlined mechanism? It's not that simple. Let me give you 3 different reasons, and then you can decide for yourself which test you should take. Okay? So the first one, if you're going to the US, and this is only about the US, I'm not talking about worldwide, because worldwide you might know IELTS is more accepted. IELTS is like much more of a common standard. But when you look at the US solely, you will see that some universities do not accept the IELTS. And I'm gonna give you one example of this. This is the biggest one that comes in front of me all the time. Stanford University. They do not accept the IELTS. They do not consider it. They do not think it's a valid test of English language. And I'm not saying that you have to apply to Stanford only, but this happens at other universities as well. For instance, up till spring 2020, this used to happen at Georgia Tech as well. They did not accept the IELTS, but now, starting from spring 2020, they're basically changing some rules and they're accepting the IELTS. But again, I've also seen this for other programs. I've seen this for other universities as well. I do this every day. I see that some universities, they don't like having the IELTS test on an applicant, and I understand that. Even though Georgia Tech has started accepting the applicants, it is pretty clear that they don't prefer the test. So that's my number one concern. Number two, the complicated score sending mechanism. How do you send scores on the TOEFL? You basically go ahead, you select the university code. Every university on their website, they'll give you a code that this is our TOEFL code. Let's say you're applying to Stanford. This is our TOEFL code. Let's say it's 4503, whatever. You enter 4503, you'll see Stanford University, you'll be able to send your score in. Done. It's that simple. I'm not a huge fan of ETS, to be honest. So, I'm not very keen about the TOEFL as well. But, if you have to take the 2 tests, I would take the lesser evil. And when it comes to the IELTS, it's not as simple. In fact, what I saw was it was hard to find a lot of colleges in there. It was very hard. It seemed like they did not have a complete database, or even when you're trying to find a code, it doesn't work. You're trying to enter the university name, it doesn't work. You're not able to find the university, and that just kind of put me off. That this is going to cause issues if I go ahead and apply with this IELTS score. If I try to take the IELTS and I want to send it somewhere, it's not going to be easy. Because chances are I'm going to be emailing the universities back and forth that, hey, is this correct? Am I selecting the correct university? And when it's basically split up between IDP and British Council, they have different portals. So yeah, different things can happen on different ends. So maybe one of these people's portal is better. Who knows? But at the same time, I think that it's a very complicated mechanism. And even when you send the TOEFL scores, they're electronically reported. They're sent via sort of like, and maybe it's an email, or they send it to the university with some other mechanism, some other database connection that they may have, but it's done electronically. But IELTS, on the other hand, it's gonna go in through an actual physical mail. So the chances of your process delaying are much more. You send the scores, someone at the university gets the mail first. This can take up to 10 days. And when they get the mail finally in their hands, they have to add it to their database that, yes, this student has reported the score. So you can see there's a lot of room for anomalies over here. There's a lot of room for issues happening over here. And it's a very, very slow process as well. When it comes to the TOEFL though, boom, even though they say that it can take up to 10 days, it usually does not take more than 1 or 2 days. Your score gets reported, and on your application you can see the tick mark that yes, we've got your score. So I think that's why the TOEFL is again taking the win over here. And finally, the third one that I can tell you about is the the skewed scores. So I actually work with a lot of students. I work with a lot of students on an everyday basis, help them get to the best universities worldwide. And the one thing that I've seen is when students are taking the TOEFL, generally students do not have so many issues. They are usually above the minimum requirements. They do not have any particular issues in terms of their score, that this university you can't go to it because of your score, it's lower or something. But in the IELTS, and I'm not saying this doesn't happen in the case of the TOEFL, there's definitely some cases, but this happens much more commonly in the IELTS, that you'll see that all of your scores are good, but one section you've scored very badly, or one or two sections you've scored badly. So it's either 6 or 6.5, one or two sections you're just not able to perform well, or maybe even 5.5. And because of that, there's so many universities you can't go ahead and apply to. Now, I'm not sure if this is because the TOEFL, it's not that the TOEFL is easier per se, but it generally seems that the IELTS is doing something fishy over here, that many students are facing this issue. They're not able to get good scores on all of these sections. Some cases, there's definitely, now these things happening in the TOEFL as well, but this happens much more often in the IELTS. So that's another reason. And these are the major reasons why I don't prefer it. But I have studied both the formats because I've had to teach you as well. I've given you the plans as well. I had students who I've personally taught one-on-one, and I've seen their progress, and I've seen them help them get to their best scores. I've seen people who can get 8 and above in the IELTS. I've worked with them, and I've worked with people who can get 115 and above on the TOEFL. So yes, both cases I've been there. But I can tell you that the format of the TOEFL is also generally easier, to me at least. Personally, I feel so. IELTS is a little bit like they don't really have a proper mechanism as far as what I can see. Sometimes the answer should be true, sometimes it's not given, all of these things. At times I feel that their test has issues, a lot of issues. So generally I don't prefer the IELTS. Yes, I'm coming out, then I'm letting you know, if you have an option, and generally you're good at typing per se, I would say take the TOEFL if you don't mind. If first off, still the one thing you should do is check out the admission requirements of all the universities that you are going to be applying to, so that you can understand which university accepts which test and which one is the best one to take for you, right? So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. If you like the video, if you think the content is genuine, please do give me a subscribe, and again, hope to see you again. Bye, take care.